Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tour Talk, the April 12th edition. We've got a couple of events to talk about this week. First of all, we have a BASS Elite Series event on the Sabine River down in Texas. What a great event this was. That Sabine River system is just a massive river system, and there are so many places that people can fish. And we had anglers that ran almost all the way to Houston, Texas. It's a long distance from the Orange, Texas launch site, and there was just so many places, so many backwater areas to fish. It was a great event. You're not fishing for particularly big fish in that event, but it was a fun, competitive event. And congratulations to Jason Christie. He got the job done. His 4-day total of 20 fish weighed 43 pounds, 15 ounces. Not a massive weight, but enough to win the event, certainly. Christie had a big bag on day one and a big bag on day two. 15-1 on day one, 13-14 on day two. But on days 3 and 4, it was maybe a little more indicative of the kind of event that the Sabine River is. Day 3, he had a 5-fish limit that weighed only 6 pounds, 12 ounces. And on day 4, on Sunday, he had a 5-fish limit that weighed 8.4. So he did what he needed to do to win the Blue Trophy. Congratulations to Jason on that. What a great win. Finishing second is Brock Mosley. He had 20 fish over 4 days for 42 pounds, 9 ounces. He also had a big first couple of days, 15 pounds, 10 ounces on day 1, 12.4 on day 2, and then just like Christie, his weight kind of went away as well. 4 limits, but those bigger fish on days 3 and 4 just weren't there for Brock. Third place was Taco Ito. He had 20 pounds. He had 20 fish for 40 pounds, 12 ounces over the 4 days. Chris Johnson finishes 4th with 20 fish for 39 pounds, 15 ounces. And Drew Cook finishes 5th with 20 fish for 39 pounds, 14 ounces. Seth Feider had a good event. He finished in 6th place at the Sabine River. And the Angler of the Year standings for the BASS Elite Series are out. Seth Feider moves into 1st place. He's got 341 points. Patrick Walters, who has been near the top most of the season, is now in 2nd with 333 points. That's only an 8-point difference. That's going to be a close race the rest of the season. Drew Cook moves into 3rd with 317 points. Jason Christie moves into 4th with 303 points. And Brock Mosley moves into 5th place with 302 points. Really close Angler of the Year race in the BASS Elite Series. That's the way we like it, and that's the way we usually get it. There was also a Major League Fishing Toyota Series Plains event that took place at Grand Lake this week. Congratulations to Andy Newcomb. Newcomb finishes the 3-day event with 15 fish for a total of 52 pounds, 13 ounces. He weighed in 17.13 on day 1, 19.05 on day 2, and 15.11 on day 3 to squeak out a victory. It was a close event. Finishing in 2nd is Chris Jones. He weighs in 52 pounds, 2 ounces for 15 fish. He also had a 19-pound day. I mean, the weights were just really jammed up. He had a 19-pound day number 1. Kyle Minke finishes 3rd with 51 pounds, 15 ounces. I'm telling you, the top 4 anglers were all within about 1.5 pounds of the top spot. Kyle Minke finishes 3rd with 51 pounds, 15 ounces. Joey Cantrell finishes 4th, 51 pounds, 8 ounces. And TJ Martin finishes in 5th place with 49 pounds, 4 ounces for his 15 fish. Are you looking for a global action camera that won't break your bank? Check this out. 170-degree standard wide angle lens, plug-in option for all-day power, remote sync with your smartphone, waterproof to 30 feet, patented interchangeable lens system, all at a price that won't break your bank. Tacticam fisheye, because that fish of a lifetime happens once in a lifetime. Todd Castledine fished the Grand Lake Toyota Series event this past week, and he joins us on the show right now to talk a little bit about that event and some of the things he's got going on YouTube.
Folks, our guest fishes about 45 tournaments a year. He's just a lean, mean fishing machine. He's been fishing pro events since 2006, qualified for the BASS Elite Series in 2009. He's earned over $500,000 during his career, 29 top 10 finishes in pro tour events, 5 wins, qualified for 2 FLW Cups, finished 10th in the BASS Open Series this last season. You know him for his popular YouTube channel, Todd Castledine Fishing. And Todd, thanks for being with us on Tour Talk tonight.
Glad I'm here.
By the way, congratulations. I don't know if you're familiar with this yet or if you know this or not, but you moved into the top 10 for the Bass Tour Anglers podcast Angler of the Year standings. If you haven't looked into that yet, you got to look into this. But we're following all the tour events this year that the top pros fish. So we've taken the BASS Elite Series, and we've taken the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour, and we kind of track where all these guys fish. And they fish a lot of different events. They fish opens, they fish, pro circuit events, they fish Toyota Series events. Anyway, we're compiling all those points because we want to name a definitive Angler of the Year this year. And you moved into the top 10 this week. So congratulations.
Right, and I saw that. I looked into it a little bit when you told me, and they kind of did this with something else, sort of like that. But when I followed it, not on whoever was doing it at one time, I had one of those years where I made, I think, an Angler of the Year in the Coastas in one division and like a top 10 in the other. And just had a really good year, but I was like nowhere near. I couldn't figure out how they were doing the points because I was like, man, I had a really good year and it didn't make sense of where I was at. So I kind of quit following it. But because of that, I didn't understand where they were getting a lot of their information from.
Well, I know there's been different things. I know that Bass Fan has a world standing that they do, but it's based over 2 seasons and things like that. And the math is far beyond what I can understand. So I just wanted something that was going to be simplified. Basically, to score points, you got to fish in the top 50% of the events that you fish in, because it's just too time consuming to go through the whole thing and do all that. So we just look at the top 50% and we assign points based upon the size of the field. Those Toyota Series events, that some of them have 250 anglers in them.
Right.
And if you finish in the top 50% of that, you score more points than if you fish in an event that's only got 100 anglers. It's just, I don't know. I'm sure there's ways to argue about it.
Hey, I've had this argument with some people about competing in a field with 80 guys or competing in a field with 250. And I've always said, man, sometimes the 250 is just as hard.
Oh my gosh.
We have some small tournaments too around the house that there's 40 guys in there, and those 40 guys are way harder to beat than the 250. but those 40 guys usually end up in the top 50 if it was 250. But I don't care what anyone says. Fishing is different than most sports. A guy ranked. I've always said it this way: a guy ranked 150th on the golf tour could probably never beat Tiger Woods in his prime, but the 150th guy ranked in bass fishing could easily beat the number 1 ranked guy at any time. And
absolutely, absolutely. And what we're looking for in our Angler of the Year is we're looking for those guys that fish as many events as they can possibly fish. If you qualify for the top tour I mean, congratulations. You have made that, and you deserve to fish against only 99 other guys or 79 other guys. You've earned that. Congratulations. But, when you got to fish against 250 guys, probably 50 guys that are locals every time, those are brutal tournaments.
Oh yeah, and like Grand, like I love going. I enjoyed so much when I used to fish the Toyota Series, going to like other divisions. Like I took always more pride in going and fishing the Centrals and going up to Table Rock and Lake of the Ozarks. And I'd be like basically the only Texas guy there, and doing good and competing against those guys. Like I took more pride in that than doing it on my home lakes, and I still do. I just I always want to be known as a guy who is not afraid to go up against almost an entire local field. I take a lot of pride in that, so I always enjoy it. That's a challenge for me.
Well, speaking of which, you fished the Toyota Series event up at Grand Lake this past week. Only 3 fish the first day. They were 3 pretty good fish, but boy, what happened on day 2? You blasted them.
Well, so there's 2 ways when I went into this event. I've made a top 10. I've made a couple top 10s on Grand before this time of the year, and it's usually doing one of 2 things. And I always get kind of I get the lake drops and it always kills me on doing one thing, and the other way is sight fishing. Well, the lake was just absolute muddy and cold, and so I just went fishing and figured out a pretty good little deal. I didn't think it was as great as everyone was saying, but I was like, I'll put it all together come tournament time. And on the last day, I happened to see a fish on a bed. It was like tail sticking out of the water. It was that muddy. And I kind of went around and found a couple, and I didn't think they were all that big. And I just kind of was like, hey, this is a backup plan. So I just went fishing, and I never had a bite for 5 or 6 hours. I never had a bite. And so I was like, well, I better go catch one of these sight fish. And I tried to start on one of them, but every time I started on one, I didn't know if people found them, but there'd be literally people 30 yards or 30 feet from them. I mean, they'd be literally like right on them. And, I'd turn around and leave, and I checked like 2 or 3 of them. So at like 12:31, I went to one of them, and it was still there, and I caught it. And I'm like, well, let's go to another one. And I didn't realize they were all over 4 pounds. That they're hard to tell how big they are in muddy water. And so I was really shocked with the weight. I just didn't give myself enough time to go catch more. And so on day 2, I just basically committed to it and caught that that big bag on day 2. So I just I just didn't realize that was going to happen. I didn't realize I was kind of on that deal.
Well, muddy water sight fishing, boy, that's a stretch. I mean, if you have a little bit of visibility and if you can see the bottom and you can see the dark spots or the light spots, sometimes you can find them that way. But like you're saying, if the water was muddy, that's got to be a tough way to find them.
It was, guys are catching them all in spinner baits and all these things, and it was really muddy. I found a little bit clear water, clear as in maybe a foot. And what helped me the most was the lake was dropping. So as the lake was dropping, I think some of those, I would have never have seen them, but since it was dropping, they were starting to show up more. Maybe they were in, 18 inches of water, and as over 2 days, it dropped to like a foot of water, like 3 inches a day. So then it was exposing a couple of them that I would never have seen. So I usually hate water dropping, and it actually made them, they were some of the, I told someone this, as a whole, as a collective whole of those 8 fish, they were probably the hardest 8 fish I've ever caught off beds. As a whole, I've caught harder fish off beds, but as a whole, I've never seen them be that hard collectively. And that's a lot to do with the cold weather, the falling water, and is just being so early.
It seems like a lot of the events on all the tours this year have just kind of missed. I mean, they've been scheduled around the right times, but because of various weather, I don't know, global warming, whatever it is, they just seem like they missed just by a little bit.
Well, it wasn't global warming, because I can promise you it was it was the freeze, man. We froze we were outside today looking at all the trees that it killed. That we're noticing that some of our big giant 100-year-old trees are dying. It froze in some of those places, And then a couple of little floods in Alabama, hurt some things, but we got a lot of tournaments canceled because of the cold. So so it made everything pushed back 2 to 3 weeks, which has just made like every tournament was like on the verge of breaking out to be really good, and we would hit it about the day or two it was about to break out, and so we never really got. I know that was like this tournament was like that. There was Texoma was like that. There's been a lot of them on other tours too that were like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So are this year, are you kind of just like going from one event to the other, or are you fishing any of these particular divisions?
I had a plan, and then when they canceled some of our tournaments and then redid them, our team tournaments, and then they canceled the Smith Lake one because of the flood. And I was always going to fish the Central Opens, and I hadn't really told anyone this, but I knew the Southwest Toyotas. What I was going to do, they made a new deal this time to where you could fish 4 events and take your best 3, but you had to fish one in another division to make the championship. So I looked at that and I was like, hey, I'll do that. So that's why I was going to go to Grain. I always fished multiple divisions, but this made it easy. And then they canceled Smith, and the next one's on Pickwick. And I always had the biggest one was a Pickwick Open and a tournament on my home lake, Rayburn, the Toyota Series. And I was going to miss my home lake Toyota Series to go to Pickwick. But now I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm 4th in the points in the Southwest Division, and I kind of want to give a shot for Angler of the Year. I've got 3 of them. I think I'm the only one in the U.S. with 3 Angler of the Years in all of those divisions of any division ever. So I want to make it 4, and it's on my home lake. I mean, I got to go shoot for that. So I might be giving up a chance at the elites this year, or I don't know what's going to happen, but I think that's the plan. So yeah, it's been kind of like last year. Last year got all crazy with the COVID deal. So this year the weather has kind of made everything a little bit different.
Todd, I've been, I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel. I find a lot of the people that I interview via their YouTube channels and their tour events, but you've posted some things in the last year that I think are just phenomenal. You posted a side imaging dogs video in August of 2020 that it's the best thing I've seen in terms of how to use side imaging. And I think the thing that really stood out to me was that why some docks are good and some docks are just never any good.
And I'll be honest. So those docks were on my home lake, and some of this stuff surprised me. I didn't know some of that stuff was there. And when I side imaged them, I started kind of realizing what was there and what wasn't. I mean, and it's amazing. Like some of those places, I literally would catch them in between these 2 pilings more than anything else. And then I found stuff there, and it shows it, and you would think you'd be able to see some of that concrete or some of these things or feel it, but we couldn't feel it. A lot of it's slab stuff. So there's not any, you don't get hung up. You don't even feel it dragging the bottom, like it being harder. There's just some neat things that I started finding out. And so, I spent a lot of time. I already knew what docks were good, but I spent a lot of time just learning what was there. And then I wanted it to also, so if I went somewhere else, I could understand what to look for. I think that's one of the deals on side imaging. When people ask me, how did you get good at learning what to do? I didn't go find new spots. I went to the best spots I knew about, side imaged them, and then figured out why those spots were good, and then went to other places, No,
I just know that sometimes we have those kind of aha moments when we kind of know something, but we don't necessarily know why. And
right.
It felt like when watching that video, I was watching you just go like, whoa, this is why. And I mean, it just opened my mind to a lot of things, because I don't fish a lot of docks, but we do have lakes in California, like Clear Lake, for example, has got so many docks, and it's overwhelming to me to try to figure out which ones to fish, because I just never know. But with that side imaging that you're talking about, you made it so clear and you showed so many key things. It was really, really good. Now, the other one I wanted to talk about was catching lake records. That was hilarious. I think one of my big nightmares is having either a pelican or a great blue heron get hooked up to a bait. I'd never want one of those in my boat.
Well, and here's the funny thing. So like I take, a lot of people might not understand this, but I take bass fishing. I don't look at it as serious as everyone else. And so to a degree, and what I mean by that is like, man, I just love to catch fish. So when we're out there and my buddies we're all the same. Like we hook something that's big and we don't know what it is. I don't care if we're in a tournament. We're going to fight this thing for hours to get something in. Like we love, like it's a challenge for us to catch the craziest stuff. And so what was crazy is that when I got the GoPro, this is only 2.5 years of us having stuff that we've caught. I mean, I wish I could have recorded the last 20 years of all the crazy things we've caught, but the bird was pretty funny. And like I said in the video, I didn't have hooks on it. We were practicing. So
Thank goodness.
yeah. And so like it never, he was like, what, we didn't even hook it. It just got wrapped around. But that we've gotten another one before where we threw out there and one ran into it. And so it wasn't our first rodeo. We had done that before. So it's the stuff you catch on the water over that much time. It's just weird things happen. Owls. I mean, we've had some weird stuff.
Folks, we're talking about Todd Castledine's YouTube channel. It's Todd Castledine Fishing, and you really need to go check out some of the stuff that he's done. The one video in particular that we're talking about is in reference to his Near Lake Records video, and where he's gone through and taken clips of all the strange things he's caught over the last couple of years, and it's a lot of fun. I also enjoyed the nearly 1,000 mile journey that you guys had with Amistad and the last Toyota Series event down there. That had to be pushing things too.
Yeah, and we man, like I said, we just enjoyed
or is that just a normal Todd Castledine weekend?
It had, yes, we have done some stuff like this. We look forward to it. Like I said, it's once again, Amsted's 8 hours away. No one from our part of Texas goes down there and fishes It was a TXTT, so they did get a chance to practice a day. We didn't get a chance to practice, so we went down there blind. We're actually going down there this weekend for 2 bass champs. They put them back to back because they canceled one. So no practice. So we're showing up blind again. But we like that. We like doing stuff like that. We like just showing up and just competing against locals and stuff and doing that. We like doing that stuff. We were going to film it. I was going to try to film everything that went on. And it was a little much. I'm just going to be honest. We were trying so hard to get down there before the tournament even started. And we were trying to not stay awake, but it was a little too hard to just film it all. We wanted to fill the flat tire as we're trying to get to the weigh-in. We were almost late, but we were more worried about getting to the tournament than filming stuff. So we really wanted we're going to film this next one in Amistad, but yeah, that was a wild one for sure.
Well, I just like the way you set it up. You set it up. You're standing on your boat there. I think that was that the Texoma event?
I just gotten the text that I got a text from my buddy who we were going to Smith for that open, and they canceled it right then and there. And I was like, all right. And so when I saw my buddy, I said, I just got the text, we're leaving. And so he had to go weigh in, and like we were in hurry mode because we knew we would get down there at 3:30 or 4, and we kind of wanted an hour or two to sleep. Just
right.
And so stopping off on the side of the road, like it was. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it was pretty interesting for sure.
That's good stuff. Well, Todd, what's next for you? What's the rest of the season look like, or do you know at this point?
No, so I know I know kind of somewhere what I'm gonna fish. I don't know the dates, but I know I'm going. Me and Jason Bonds, my buddy, we're gonna go fish Amstead this weekend. Those back-to-back events, and then I believe the next event for me will be a Toyota Series on Rayburn at the end of the month, at the end of April. And I honestly haven't looked past those 2 events to see. I know I got a bunch of stuff in May and quite a bit of stuff in June. I just don't know the schedule, but I that's kind of how I operate. Like I operate those two. Like that's on my mind. And then after that, I'll focus on what's after that.
Yeah, I know that we talked before, and I know that last year you tried really hard to make the Elite Series. But I mean, are those top series, are they still something that you want to do, or is there just enough for you to do in Texas at this point?
A lot of it depends on a lot. Like I put a lot of faith in my belief in God, and just if he pushes me a certain way, then that's kind of where I go. And it's kind of like he opened some doors and closed some doors last year and this year, like kind of like the Smith Lake canceling and opened up this Rayburn. So I don't try to fight that stuff. I kind of go with wherever he might lead me. So is it out there? It's always out there, but it's not life or death for me. I can either do both ways. I'm not gonna sit there and try to go broke, because those opens cost a lot of money traveling. That it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of travel. It's a lot of time away from home trying to qualify. So I'm not gonna sit there and have that my only deal. Like I still love fishing. I love fishing a team tournament back home against 50 guys as much as I do an open or anything else. So I'm not going to compromise those deals. And so, that's kind of where I'm at with how I view all that stuff.
Okay. Well, Todd, we really appreciate you being with us tonight. Congratulations on making the top 10 of that Bass Tour Anglers Podcast Angler of the Year race. Someday we're going to have something really nice to give away for that. I don't know right now it's just a trophy, but someday we'll have something nice for it. But anyway, thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. And I'm gonna let you know, now that I know about this, I'm going to try a little bit harder now to keep doing good in those so I can move on up a little bit.
Yeah. And let your friends know, make sure Upshawn knows about it. And, those other guys, ask them, well, how come they're not in the top 10 and stuff like that,
Oh, I will. Trust me.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Now take a quick look at the Bass Tour Anglers Angler of the Year standings for this week. For those of you that are new that don't know about the Bass Tour Anglers Podcast Angler of the Year race, we follow all the events that the top pros fish. Now, the top pros are found on the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour and the BASS Elite Series. And what we do is we have tracked all the events that pros from both of those series fish. As a result, we've got events taking place in the West on WAN Bass and Wild West Bass Tour. We've got BASS Opens. We've got Major League Fishing Pro Circuit events. We've got Major League Fishing Toyota Series events. So we've got, in all total, we have 63 tournaments that we are tracking this year to crown the definitive Angler of the Year. And we'll do that at the end of the season when the last of the events are done. This week, we take a look at the top 10. Dakota Hebert stays in first place with 400 points. Jimmy Washam also stays in second place. He's got 260 points. Patrick Walters moves up into third. He has 242 points. He's also caught 80 fish this season. He's got an amazing 5-fish limit streak going right now in the events that he's fished. Ryan Salzman also has 242 points. He's caught 46 fish this season, so he is in fourth. Dickie Newberry is in fifth with 229 points. Josh Weaver is in sixth with 228. Zach Burge, who has fished 7 pro events this season already. 7 pro events already this season for Zach Burge. He is in 7th place with 226 points. Todd Castledine moves into 8th this week. That's his first appearance in the top 10. He has 212 points. Jacob Wall moves into 9th. He has 209, and Randy Howell rounds out the top 10 with 208 points. Folks, if you want to find out more about this Bass Tour Anglers Podcast Angler of the Year race, you need to go to our website. It's basstouranglers.com. We have our scoring criteria listed there. We have all the events there and tabulated for you to take a look at. We are tracking something like 2,500 anglers that have fished in pro tournaments this season. It's a massive number. But they're all there if you want to get lost in that. Plus, we have all of our content there from our podcast as well. Check it out, basstouranglers.com. All the information you need about our Angler of the Year race and all of our content listed there as well. Looking ahead at this next week's schedule, there's a Juan Bass Clear Lake event. Look for pros like Ish Monroe and Cody Meyer, Jared Lintner to fish that event. These guys do not like to miss the April event at Clear Lake. Clear Lake, known for its dinosaurs. April, it's far enough north that April is going to be a major sight fishing event. They're going to see some dinosaurs wade in the course of this event. We've also got a BASS Southern Open on Douglas Lake in Tennessee. It'll be fun to see those guys get out there. It's such a difficult tour. Any of those BASS Open Tour events are so tough. So many pros, so many anglers fishing those events. It'll be fun to watch that as well. All right, folks, until next week, keep those live vests zipped and clipped, and we will talk to you soon.